Hi and welcome to another Titanium Geek video. I'm Dave and what we're going to cover in this video is the Wattbike Atom Next Generation. I've been waiting to get hold of this for a while. Thank you very much Wattbike for sending one along on test. It's going back tomorrow, so we'd better get this feedback back to you. So we've put in something like 30 hours of testing with this bike on various platforms, though you can be rest assured the information I'm about to give you is probably about as good as you can get because it is thoroughly tested. We haven't just had it for a day, had a try and then sending it back. So once again, thanks for Wattbike, letting us have it for so long. So what we're going to cover in this is for those of you who just want to get a bike, particularly the times we're living in, a static bike to train on, we'll cover what that means for you and how to get the best use out of it. For those of you who are super experienced cyclists and at some point you were going to be allowed back out again and you're going to race at a higher standard as you possibly get, you probably want something that's going to replicate your outside bikes in position down to the millimetre, and you want that experience that means that when you jump onto your own bike outside you're going to get the maximum marginal gains. So that's what we'll cover. So first of all, let's look for those people who just want to plug and play. If you want sheer simplicity, and let's look at something like Peleton. You want to do Peleton, but you don't want to do Peleton because you want just something a little bit different. So first of all, what we've got is we've got a British built bike made in Nottingham in the UK. And the key thing to remember about this is Wattbike's heritage goes back to gyms. Well, it was British cycling and gyms. Their machines are used, the standard Wattbike, in gyms all over the UK and probably all over the world. They're tested. If you think about how often people jump on a gym bike and use one during a 24-hour period, it's pretty substantial. This Wattbike Atom, it's the second version. So this is Wattbike have listened to the feedback. They've got this 360-degree feedback from the customers and they've improved it even more. What the Wattbike Atom means for the plug and play people is you set the bike up for your position, easily set upable. You've got controls, all sorts of, it's either an Allen key or a turny bit. Standard Allen key or a turny bit is an adjuster and you get it spot on to your position. You can put in an iPad or similar tablet that's totally adjustable. And literally it connects to the iPad or other device and you can pedal away. Simple as that. But you can also pedal away knowing that the data you're putting out is spot on, which is a nice thing to do because you don't really know if you're progressing if you're not using accurate kit. So some of you might be thinking, well, hold up a second, I can spend £12 on places like Amazon and get a speed sensor and cadence sensor. I can get an old-fashioned dumb trainer, I can put my bike on and then I can connect with something like Zwift quite easily and it will create something like called Z power, which is an estimation of the power output I'm putting out. Now, to be perfectly frank, you don't really know from one day to the next you get on that is a true representation of the figures you're putting out. Now that might not bother you and that's fine. If you're happy with that, absolutely great, and if making you happy, brilliant. But if you want that replication, you want to know you're really progressing, and at some point you might want to get into e-racing through the esports platforms, once again like Zwift, RGT, etc. Now, once you're going to need something that's accurate because the whole community and the result scheduling and all that sort of stuff looks for accuracy. So the Wattbike Atom can replicate slopes up to 25%, so you can climb virtual Alpe d'Huez, Ventoux, Stelvio, etc., and get that real feeling of what it would be like turning the gears going up that slope. If you're pushing out loads of power in a sprint, and you've got to be seriously strong to do this. If you're at sprints, this will take sprints up to 2,500 watts. Yes, 2,500 watts, and its power accuracy is, the brochure says 1%. What that means is it is 99% accurate. No need to recalibrate. It means every time you jump on, you know your figures from today to tomorrow to yesterday to next year are within 1% of the previous figure. So 200 watts today is 200 watts tomorrow, etc., within 1%, which is blooming good. And that is top of the market. So 99% accuracy, 2,500 watts maximum, and slopes up to 25%. That is really good. Now you might be looking at this thinking, how do you change gear? Because it's like a normal bike in that respect. If you get your bike, put it on a turbo trainer, smart trainer, something like that, you have your bike as a standard. The Wattbike Atom has gears, it has 22, and you click up and down them. Simple as that. It's got some other controls, so in the future, if you want that whizzy stuff like steering and stuff like that, I'm sure that could be integrated into the bike from the controls already on here. And that is really it. You don't have to think too much about anything else. You can get more expensive versions of smart bikes. Some people call them hyper bikes. So there's the Wattbike Atom Next Generation. There's the Neo bike, and there is the Wahoo Kicker. They cost substantially more. This is roughly £1,800 to £1,900 UK. You can pay for them. Wattbike very cleverly have got a £90 per month UK contribution to getting one of these bikes. A few things about adjusting the bike and getting the bike comfortable for you. So whether you just plug in and plane or you're super serious, this will apply to both of you. The saddle I find is super comfortable, and that is an important bit, because remember your points of contact on a bike are the most important, indoors or outdoors. I do suffer from saddle sores. Yes, I do use good shorts. I use, let's call it bum butter, Nadja cream, whatever you want to call it, and all that sort of stuff. But some saddles suit me, some don't. It's the same really for everybody, and I do about 10 hours a week on my turbo, so that's enough. This saddle's great. I have no problems with it whatsoever. For me, it suits me. It's a very good quality. If you've got a favourite saddle you want to use for your own particular purposes, for example, particularly if you're female, you want one to specially saddle, dead easy, just like a normal bike, you can swap your saddle out. But I say this is very good. Everything else can be adjusted. The bike can suit from those much shorter than me and also those as tall as me. Now me particularly, as you can probably tell standing by this bike, I'm 6'6", and most of my height is from my knee to my ankle, as Griff the cameraman can confirm from years ago in primary school, and measured all my body and all those sort of things kids had done as part of the national curriculum. That's where my height is. So you can probably find me on Instagram as Very Tall Dwarf, because I am a very tall dwarf. I'm normal size from knee up. It's just that bottom bit. Now, what bikes say in their literature is the bike will suit somebody up to 6'5". Now, just to explain this, we're all different, obviously, in our measurements. Now, if I sit down at a table in a pub, remember those days when we go to pubs, so I sit down at a table in a pub and I can look at everybody eye to eye, and it's when I stand up, people go, oh my God, you're tall. So, say, confirms the length is in my leg. Now, bearing in mind what bike have said that suits people up to 6'5", I think it's unusual for people to be 6'5" and not to have a longer body. I can tell you that from experience. Now, I can fit on this bike at 6'6" with my 39-inch legs, and I can sit on it comfortably with the seat on the maximum. Now, when we talk about the seat on the maximum, things you can do on this as well, for example, is I had a bike fit from Adrian Timmis, Cadence Sport, Barton in Needwood, ex-Tour de France cyclist, highly recommended. I was recommended to slam the saddle forward. I can do. Now, people have commented on the previous iteration of the Wattbike Atom that the saddle, the seat post, slid down during a ride. And it did, and people had that. Now, this is a pre-production model of the Wattbike Atom Next Generation, and it doesn't have the gripper on the back that the production model that you would buy if you chose one of these has. But even on this model, and giving it enough welly when I tighten it up, I haven't tightened this up since my last ride, it doesn't slip down. So that problem has gone. So even on maximum with a funny angle on the saddle, this thing is solid, stays in position, and on the production models, I say, is even better. So you can adjust it. It comes, by the way, worth bearing in mind, on the cranks. On the end of the cranks are pedals, obviously, and the pedals that you get with the Atom Next Generation are just the normal flat pedals with cages. And all you do is you use a spanner Allen key, swap them out, and put in your favourite pedals. On this, as you can see, it's got time pedals. I like time pedals, but if you like Look or Speed Play or Shimano or everything else, you can just whack them on dead easy and just ride your favourite stuff. That's it, pretty simple really. If you just want to ride in your trainers on the other ones, you can do, just like you would do in the gym. And so that's pretty adaptable that way. Now, for the really super serious people, you're going to get your tape measure out and you're going to measure your bike that you've had bike fitted on, and it's your expensive bike that you've got for racing or whatever, and you're going to get your tape measure out on this and you're going to adjust it. And can you adjust your bike? Bearing in mind I'm what's called morphologically challenged in UCI rules, you can get your bike absolutely spot on to your race bike. You can do your plumb bob test, you can measure it all up, you can adjust getting your time trial, your tri position. Yeah, you might look at these bars and go, they aren't like my 3D printed bars that I've got on my Pinarello time trial bike, if you're super serious. Absolutely, but you can still get your pads at the same height. So you can do all that. You get a time trial position, you get pursuit position for the track, you get sprint position, road racing position, all that sort of stuff. You can get it sorted out. It's no problem. The only thing I would say that you might argue about is the Q factor. As we know with the, what I would call the gym watt bikes, their Q factor, that's your distance between your cranks, is high. On this one, I would say it's still wider than my Scott Foil disc. Do I notice it slightly? I notice it slightly. Am I a super serious road racer? No, I'm not. But if you are, you may still prefer to have a smart trainer, for example, Tex Neo or Wahoo Kicker, or something similar, the Elite Dorito XR, something like that, with your own bike, race bike on, or a bike similar to it with exactly the same Q, other measurements, and you're that serious, that's what you want to do. If that's the case, fine. For everybody else who's not too particular on that, and you might do the odd roller session on your best bike just to get dial in that Q again, that's it. So that's probably is it. What's for 1% of people that's important. For the 99% of us, you can get absolutely dialed in, spot on. Also means as well with these smart bikes is, for example, if there's more than one of you in the house that wants to use the machine for training on Zwift or RGT, etc., then all you've got to do is alter the measurements. As long as you remember your measurements when you get back on, adjust the bike, it will take minutes, job done, keep your Allen key nearby, sorted, and everybody's happy. What you don't need is to keep swapping bikes in and out and all that sort of stuff. Also, an important thing to think about with these bikes is the space they take up. If you add a normal road bike to a smart trainer, it takes up a fair old length. You can see here, we've just for the purpose of this video, we've put this in a small space. You haven't got the wheels overhanging, so it takes up less floor space. And if you're restricted on space, for example, in a flat or something like that, absolutely superb, really good. You don't need a normal big TV in front or whatever, like I normally use in my pain cave, but like we said before, you can just have an iPad. If you've got the larger iPads or tablets that are now available, then this thing is totally adjustable and can fit them all in. So it's really good that way. So you've got these bottle cages. They're great. They really suit the purpose. They're not super bottle cages, but of course you're not riding outside. You just want something you can put your bottles in, take your bottles out, have a drink, put them back in again. And also it's good discipline for remembering those sort of things when you're riding outside in real life. What I've found really useful, it's a silly little thing, but the gap between the two pads on the virtual head tube is great for putting smartphones, sits there nicely. You can put gels there, banana food and stuff like that. Just works out really handy. Now, if you buy some of the other brands of smart bikes, they have the ability to plug in your iPhone, for example, or your iPad, and charge it from the device, which is pretty handy actually. This doesn't have that, but then again, you're not paying up to £1,000 more just for that facility. Now you could say, oh, I wanted something that I can plug all my devices into. Just remember that manufacturers, Apple, Samsung, etc., are very good at changing their device chargers. So what might be one type of USB now could be redundant next year because they've all gone to USB-C, for example. So is it important being able to charge your devices off your bike? No. One of the other smart bikes has little fans here. Now I can tell you from experience and riding it, those fans are a waste of time, and as can be evidenced by the pools of sweat underneath the people, if you ever see the videos on the internet or the photos, using them. What you do is you buy a fan separately, and some people buy two, and you just buy really decent fans, and they don't cost that much money, and they certainly don't cost as much as upgrading to one of the really top hyper bikes. What may seem trivial is the power cable. On this machine, it's been really well thought out. Quite often we come across integrated power cables built specifically for smart trainers, and they are either too short, or if you want them longer, which is usually the case when things are too short, it's hard to adapt. Now it means fiddling around. With the Wattbike cable, it's got what I would call a kettle plug, what Griff behind the camera would call an IEC, but literally kettle plug. You could just take it out if it's too short for you, buy a longer one, cost you next to now, stick it in, and you've got a longer power lead. The one that comes with it is really long, which is great. Simple thing, but if you just want a plug in and play device, it's fab. Now here's something else as well on the plug and play. For those of you who don't use an Apple TV and use a gaming computer, and you might be a plug and play person and thinking, why the hell would I buy a gaming computer? Well, the answer is better graphics. You can use more stuff. Some people now just aren't using Zwift, RGT, and all the rest. What they're doing is using adaptations of Grand Theft Auto, and you can ride your bike around there and fire rockets off the beach at helicopters, so I'm told. Now you can do stuff like that. You've got more optionality, you know, as Peleton comes along, and these other things have been promised forever and we've yet to see. You've got more optionality with a gaming computer, you've got better graphics and all that sort of stuff, but you tend to connect using ANT+. And if you connect during ANT+, it means your Bluetooth channels are still open, which means that what you could do, for example, if Zwift is your chosen platform for cycling around with your friends and communicating with people and meetups and all that sort of stuff, you can connect to your gaming computer using ANT+, and you can connect to your Wattbike hub using Bluetooth, and you can analyse your pedal stroke. And analysing your pedal stroke is nothing new, of course. I had it on a CompuTrainer eons ago. This thing does it better, more accurately. It's got numerous measuring points on the Wattbike hub, and it's worth mentioning the Wattbike hub anyway. If you like Trainer Road as a platform, you will love the Wattbike hub even more, because it has courses, it has sessions, it's got warm-up routines, cool-down routines, it's got tons of stuff in there, and I really love the pedal analysis. Just shows you just how effectively and not effectively, you know, like some of us have injured our backs over the years or got hamstring problems and stuff like that. You can really just focus on getting that balance right and really thinking more about how you're pedaling and see your watts going up for a lower heart rate, which is really interesting. But you can see you can use the Wattbike hub on its own just as your training platform rather than subscribing to any of the others. So it's really, really adaptable. Important aspect of any smart trainer or smart bike or even simple turbo trainer is how they feel. Key thing I discovered riding the Atom, and I hadn't really noticed until I rode the Atom, is just how fast it reacts. Now, even riding the top end smart trainers, if we can call it riding, sometimes there's a slight lag, very slight, between putting the power on the pedals and the watts responding. You think that the little strain meters in your power meter should be picking up that movement, that extra pressure, or the pressure coming off quite quickly. The Wattbike does it superbly. And also its magnetic resistance, the way it replicates a flywheel, feels more like what I call getting over a gear. If you've ever ridden on a wooden track, for example, in a velodrome, and you get over the top of your gear and you get it rolling, you manage to keep the speed on, you get that feeling, that great, lovely, smooth feeling of momentum. You get exactly the same feeling on this, very similar to if you've ridden the Elite Dorito XR and models like that. It's that sort of feeling with this, but I say it's very, very quick on response, as quick or if not quicker than anything else, which I thought was incredibly impressive. Even the slope is the same. As courses change on your virtual apps, you'll find this changes just the same. So in summary, for those people who want to plug and play, something simple, absolutely superb. For those people who are racing really, really high level, it's great. You can get in the whole, you can get a very accurate setup compared to what your normal road or time trial bike is like. And also for the price, you know, yes, expensive overall and the light of how much things cost in life, but for quality of build, accuracy, etc., etc., a really strong buy. Thanks again for watching. Please like, subscribe, all those sort of things. And if you want to see the sound test on this thing, check up here. Thanks again. Ride on, ride free.